Yeah, this one. At first, like, we're having but
For the proclamation, she was being. That's your problem. Always part of the So I can say the butterfly trail is, people can do it now.
Oh, yeah.
There it
So are we all set? Everything's good? Okay. Actually, before we have the opening of the meeting, we need to swear in a few of our council members, ladies, who were re-elected last week. Come on up. Give the oath of office. And I'll read it. I'm going to say I, and you put your name in, and I'll read the rest.
Hand up.
Solemnly swear?
We do.
Sure.
Michelle,
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, the oath of office. I
Mrs. Slade,
Heather Earhart.
do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful and true bear allegiance to the state of Maryland
I will be
Faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and the laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of council member
execute the office of council member
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Congratulations. Thank you. Then you have signed. Yep.
Okay, we're all official.
Okay, so we'll open the meeting. Any additional items to?
Yes, we added one item on for the Maryland Energy Administration grant agreement, and we have a presentation on what that is. And that will follow my first time in my report.
Okay. All right. So start off with the invocation pledge.
You join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day, and Lord, thank you for the much needed and beneficial rain that you gave us. And Father, as we gather together this evening, we just ask your many blessings and allow us to continue to make the best decisions for our wonderful town. And all these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we do have a public hearing at 4:30 on case number 43-25, Singletree quad duplex concept plan. Okay, everyone should receive a copy of last month's minutes.
I move to approve the April 13, 2026 minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Comments, questions, corrections? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. And now we have a proclamation for the Native Plant Month, May of 2026. And We have a member here from, yeah, come on up. Got a little proclamation for you.
Laschelle, do we need to do the background of this? The question more. I can do the first paragraph. So May 2026 has been declared Maryland Native Plant Month by Governor Wes Moore. This designation celebrates the essential role that native plants play in supporting healthy ecosystems, resilient landscapes, and vibrant local biodiversity. So whereas, called Native Plant Month, May 2026, whereas native plants are indigenous species that have evolved alongside native wildlife and occur naturally within a particular geographic region, ecosystem, and habitat, and play a critical role in cleaning air, filtering water, stabilizing soils, and supporting environmental resilience. And whereas native plants are well adapted to Maryland soils, temperatures, precipitation, and environmental conditions, making them among the best choices for conserving natural resources and protecting the environment, provide food, shelter, and habitat for birds, butterflies, bees, caterpillars, pollinators, and other wildlife that are vital to the health of our local ecosystem. And Maryland is home to more than 1,250 native plant species, including trees, shrubs, perennials, vines, grasses, and wildflowers. And whereas the town of Leonardtown recognizes the importance of protecting pollinators, supporting biodiversity, improving stormwater management, enhancing public spaces, and encouraging environmentally responsible landscaping practices. Whereas the Leonardtown Butterfly Trail celebrates the connection between native plants, pollinators, public art, local history, and outdoor exploration, while encouraging residents and visitors of all ages to consider the natural beauty and creative spirit of Leonardtown. And whereas the town is grateful for the community partners, local artists, businesses, volunteers, schools, civic organizations, and environmental advocates who support the Leonardtown Butterfly Trail and related efforts to promote conservation, education, beautification, and community pride. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Commissioners of Leonardtown hereby proclaim May 2026 as Native Plant Month in the town of Leonardtown and encourage all citizens to celebrate the benefits of native plants by planting native trees, shrubs, grasses, and flowers, supporting pollinator habitats, exploring the Leonardtown Butterfly Trail, and learning more about the many environmental and community benefits native plants provide. Signed this day, May 11, 2026, the Town Council and Mayor Dan Burris. Thank you. Thank you. You want us to do a picture with them? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Okay. Move on to Treasurer's Report. Sharon.
Hi, how are you all? Good. So there's two agenda items that I have on the agenda today. The first one is for BA 2026109, and that's to accept the Maryland State Art Council grant. In December 2025, the grants manager submitted a grant request for the restoration of this Leonardtown Wharf Then and Now mural. The 48-foot mural was originally completed in 2018. Due to the building maintenance and enhancements needed at the original mural locations, the panels needed to be relocated and the panels were moved to the current location of 22699 Washington Street. The new home of the mural panels, which is across and just down the street from the original location, provides a very visible and continued viewing enjoyment by visitors and local citizens. The age of the panels and the process of moving and rehanging the murals has now resulted in the murals needing some conservation repair work. So that's why the grant was applied for. And attached is a $2,000 grant from the Maryland State Art Council.
Comments, questions?
Who's gonna do the renovations?
The artist is Jeanine.
Okay. All right, I move to approve BA 2026-109 to accept the grant of $2,000 from the Maryland State Art Council. The grant will increase the Maryland State Art Council revenue account and increase the A&E grant expense account.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
All right, and I have one more, and this is for the 2027 budget. So we originally allocated money for, let me get to it, web design, and now we would like to move it to upgrading our network type systems. And I'll read the memo that came from Just Tech. So Just Tech is the town's network and computer support firm, and our current contract expires June 30th of 2026. Just Tech submitted a new proposal for a cloud-based solution. This new solution would increase our annual cost by $12,000, but it would eliminate the need to purchase a new server, which can range from $6,000 to $10,000. The major reason Just Tech has proposed the cloud-based solution is for 24-hour cybersecurity protection, which will allow for a quicker turnaround if and when an issue does occur. Another reason for the upgrade is that the current version of Microsoft that is installed, useful life ended in October of 2025, so we are no longer receiving any security upgrades. The new cloud-based solution, Microsoft 365 G3, operates in a dedicated government cloud environment and ensures strict compliance with federal security and data requirements. So right now we have a server which is in the back room and that's ready to expire at this time. So there is, like I mentioned, a cost to upgrade that server. If we move to the cloud, pretty much everything can come off of that server and go into the cloud.
Do you know how old that server is?
I don't know if I have it at my fingertips, but I can let you know.
Many, many years.
Yeah, okay, so like older than 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for that data residency piece, so if it goes with, it adheres to the federal,
Mhm.
then that means the server wherever is holding all the data is here in the US.
I believe so, and then we'll also have redundancy in case that server goes down. There'll be a backup
Okay,
for us to have.
okay. But we'll know that everything stays in the US, it doesn't go outside. Okay.
So what we're suggesting is, we originally had in the 27 budget $5,000 set aside in capital outlay for our web design, but we are now doing the web design in FY26. We had additional funding in FY26 for it also, because we didn't know what it was going to cost, or we went through that selection process. And it ended up coming in a little bit cheaper than what we anticipated. So it left this money available for us to go ahead and upgrade our system and make sure that we have the security in place, especially in today's day and age.
That was my other question, so we're still getting our website.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's in 26.
When's it supposed to be done?
Mid-June.
That's right, because we just talked about that. Thank you, Sharon.
Any other comments, questions?
I I'm assuming this means that it'll also be updated with security patches and all that fun stuff as time goes by, but we won't have to do anything that'll handle all that.
No, the IT consultants will be the ones who will be doing those upgrades continually.
We won't have to purchase another new server, so even
Yeah.
though it's saving us the,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, $6,000 to $10,000 now, it'll save us that amount of money in 5 or 10 years too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a good idea. I move to approve the change of usage for the FY 2027 budget for the general fund, general government capital outlay account for $5,000 in web design to Just Tech to upgrade the town's network support to a cloud-based solution.
Second.
You got it.
Okay. First and then second.
Well, there's one other part of that. So we're moving the $5,000 from capital outlay in the web design and moving it over to computer software, but then we're also increasing our interest income line item and computer software by $7,000 to cover the difference.
So again, it's still covered.
So that still covers the motion.
Okay. Well,
No, I think we have to say no.
yeah, you need a copy of that? Yeah.
It's right
It's on the
for the
second
12,000. Mary.
Well, I mean, really, all you need to do is approve the budget amendment and state the name. That's really all you need to do.
Right.
So we're good.
Which you did, so.
Yeah, we're good.
Sorry. So make sure we're covered.
Yeah, as long as it's attached.
Correct.
So we do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
And the last thing is looking at our financial statements that I provided for the month of April. So we're getting close to month end or year end now. And, we have a couple large payments that we're anticipating receiving, income tax and, or is the biggest one. But I think we should still remain where we need to be for the year when it comes to the general fund.
No concerns.
No concerns right now.
Okay. Comments, questions on that? Okay. Is that it?
That's it. Unless you have anything else for me?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, that'll take us to the planning department. Mike Bale.
Actually, if we could go ahead and do the
Oh,
agenda items, so
Okay.
we can get that PowerPoint done.
sure. Oh, yeah, we have PowerPoint, so.
Yeah. So the item that we
Bring
had-
James Horsecamp up, please.
So the item that we added today is authorized signing of the Maryland Energy Administration grant agreement and the federal tax credit for Energy Select to install solar panels on town sites. And so Mary actually had brought this idea to us, and James, I think, was behind the scenes. But he had already talked to me too. But in one day, we did an application for this grant. We ended up getting the grant for $600,000. But James wants to kind of maximize that with a possible federal tax credit as well. And we also had not budgeted the $50,000 that we would need to put in. So he's going to cover all that, the sites and what it details into. So we can make a decision, have to sign the grant agreement within the next couple of weeks to secure the money.
So what I wanted to do is just give you a brief overview of what this project entails. Let's get better. So the grant is for $600,000, as Laschelle mentioned. We've been working on it with Town Leonardtown for about 6 months, and it came through. So if we work quick, then we can actually make that last longer, or further, I should say. And not only do the water treatment facility, which we originally envisioned, but also do 2 other sites as well. And this is the overview of what we can do at the wastewater treatment facility. So we went down there, we did a pre-site visit, droned the roofs, et cetera. And so these are actual numbers that we know, and this we programmed with our design software. So we know that we can produce this amount of energy from the wastewater treatment center. So the grant would cover this. And it would be an energy offset of about 15-16% of all the energy that's used at the wastewater treatment facility. The second one is here, Town Hall, this building and the building up front. Fantastic roof, it's south facing, produces a lot of energy. That can produce 55,000 kWh. As you know, you can either buy that from SMECO or you can produce your own power. And the third is at the storage building, which is at the Port of Leonardtown Winery. So we were looking at this because, not everyone loves the looks of solar, but this is a nice rectangle. There's nothing on the roof. So it'll fit in. It'll be black on black panels. So the numbers, which are most important, I think, for today's discussion, are here. And this, so it's got some more technical issues, some technical items on there, like what is the offset over everything. But this is supplied for analysis. The bottom line is that if you look at the cost of these three systems, if you pay out of pocket, it's close to $1 million. It's $978,000. However, with that grant, you have that $650,000 grant, and then you can also apply for a 30% tax credit. Obviously, as the town of Leonardtown is nonprofit, then there's it's called direct pay, but essentially you get cut a check from the federal government for 30% of the system. That's going away. So July, you should what's called safe harbor this by July 4th. So that's why there's a rush on this now to make sure that we can get that federal tax incentive of an additional $328,000. So there's another incentive in the state of Maryland called solar renewable energy credits. The town can sell those. So you can sell them to a third party and say, hey, you're going to get the right for all these renewable energy credits. It eliminates all your risk. You get paid up front. So actually, this could be a cash positive deal for the town of Leonardtown, where everything's paid for through the $600,000 federal grant, the $330,000 federal grant, $650,000 Maryland grant, the $330,000 federal grant, and then if you sell the SRECs for like $50,000, your bank account will be positive. The kicker on all of this, the great thing is, you've got all your energy that's produced from the system for the next 25 years. So you save $55,000. We save $55,000 a year from having this system. So again, just a summary. At the end of the day, you get everything back. You get everything paid for the system. It's free. It's basically like a free system. And you save the $55,000 a year in energy savings.
So if you look at the utility bills, Sharon, right? One of our biggest line items these days is SMECO bill. So ongoing, we would be saving on that. We would put so the grant is $600,000 and we have a match of $50,000. And we would get the tax credit back from the federal. And then after that was all over, we could sell the credits and get our 50 back possibly. I mean, that's not a guarantee, I guess.
Well, that's guaranteed if you sell them.
Yeah, I mean, it's very likely, I guess.
Right, I think so, yeah.
So we have the grant agreement, and I spoke with the grant agency today. There's no requirement to bid the project. James has done many of them and is qualified under the state regulations, and so she has no problem with James handling it. James designed it and his company installing it, but that just all needs to be part of the motion if we want to move forward with it. To secure the money, we have to, Mayor Burris has to sign a grant agreement within the next week or so.
What are the requirements for the federal tax? You said July 1st. Does it have to be built by then? Does it have to be, what's the?
Right, now, so if it's safe harbor by July 4th, then you can build it through 2029. If not, then you have to build it. It has to be on, which means it passes all inspections, utilities, by the end of 27.
Okay, dumb question. What is safe harbor?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
That-
What's that entail?
That
Okay.
safe harbor is the term used where you got everything signed by July 4th, 2026.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to put down 5% at least as a deposit, to say it's in process. It's not something we're doing in the future, it's in process, and you have to buy equipment. You have to earmark equipment, so Town of Leonardtown would be assigned specific pieces of equipment by serial number. So all that needs to be purchased in advance.
By July 4th.
Technically by July 4th. However, I mentioned to Laschelle earlier that we've been notified by our suppliers, if you don't place the purchase order by May 15th, you could be out of luck.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you
Yeah.
at the time.
So that's this Friday.
So is that the 50% or is that the 50,000 then, the percentage, or is that an additional?
There was a matching requirement. There was a $62 million Maryland fund.
That one?
This was a competitive grant, and so because it scored so highly on the return, that it was received, but you have to put down a certain percentage. That 50,000 covered that percentage. It was either 5% or 10% or something in that range.
And that covers the
But
one
then
for
once
federal?
it's finished, then the federal tax credit, we will get a direct payment back, which would cover that.
Gotcha.
Just about
Okay.
cover that, I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
So a couple of my concerns originally, I'm not a fan of looking at solar panels. So the winery was kind of out, they didn't want it either. If we have black on a black roof, I'm okay with on the storage building. The wastewater treatment plant, I don't have a problem with that. And you're not gonna see them on the town hall either, because we have a flat roof and then they have it in the front. The other thing was, I talked to our engineers worried about just, we have to have reliable energy, which is questionable some days anyway, but at the wastewater treatment plant. But all the power stays in place, and we're just selling this basically to Smithfield.
You use it, it ties into your main service, so when the sun is shining, you're drawing from that, but it's the same lines, so those are not interrupted.
Nothing is interrupted, so even if we don't have the power, it's gonna still keep running, so.
That was gonna be my question, generator and all that, so all that stays the same.
It's all independent.
And I'm still working with engineers, and, James went down and looked at all the buildings that it would be, especially like on the sludge drying bed building, that one is really good. And so he was able to find a lot more usable roof space.
Remind me, wasn't the original grant just for the treatment plant?
Yes.
Is there going to be an issue with using this at the other buildings?
From what they said at the state, we can add on different projects, because we weren't able to use the whole thing at the wastewater treatment.
Okay, good.
Plus the tax credit, yeah.
Okay, good. I can't read this slide. I don't know if we have do we have a copy of that in our?
No, and not all the numbers matched up with what we saw on the slides. No, they have, the offset numbers.
Thank you. Perfect.
And you said.
The offset numbers on this pad paper.
Yeah, it didn't match what was.
Well, I think this was just a draft.
Those numbers were preliminary before we did the droning. And once you do droning, then you're down to the inhabit.
Okay.
So we were able to put more on there than we anticipated.
Awesome, thank you.
And I was just going to ask, you had said if we sign the paperwork by July 4th, then construction needs to be finished by 29, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
But it sounds like we have to do something sooner, because May 15th, we have to make
Right,
orders.
this is a time crunch.
We've already
Correct.
signed the letter of intent, but then the grant agreement itself is really committing us more, so I wanted to bring it here first, and so we have to sign that by Friday, I guess.
Right.
Is it now that we need to sign it, like today, or we would have to come back and sign it?
Well, no, the mayor would sign it.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
have to sign
All right.
it.
Okay.
You just have to give them the authorization to do it.
So what are you saying here with the annual payback of negative 0.27 years?
You can't really have a negative payback.
Well,
I realize that. This is where it's like basically break even, zero. Like,
Just to even get started, and then we're gonna be saving money by every year not paying for
Yeah.
these utilities.
correct, yeah. So another way to say that is that all the money that's put out, that 50,000, gets paid back. And then you save on the energy. That's why there's a negative payback. But normally, so what the state looks for, as you probably know, is like, they look for like a 15-year payback or 11-year payback. This was competitive, and so it was without the grant, it was competitive. So it had like an 11-year payback, which is typical for commercial. And so it scored very highly in the rankings. But when you put that $600,000 grant on there, and the $330,000 federal grant, and you sell the SRECs, it just brings the payback from like 11 years to 0. Like you're not paying more than you're receiving back.
When does the federal funds, when do we get the federal funds? Like, do we have to put them out and repay ourselves, or?
Yeah, so,
I think everything has to be done.
yeah, everything has to be done. So when you file your paperwork with the government, because even though you're not nonprofit, you still file paperwork, you put a form in there that says, okay, we're done, and send us the money.
Gotcha. So do we have funds to be able to front fund that?
We'll be bringing a budget amendment, I'm assuming next month. Are you going to need to do a budget amendment?
Yeah, because we'll have to forward fund it.
That's what I was trying to figure out
Yeah.
earlier. It sounded like we had to pay something.
Yeah, because we did not budget for it.
Yeah.
And then, but we'll just bring a budget amendment next month for it. If I'm changing the motion today, that's before we sign it.
I have one more question. What's the maintenance on these panels, yearly, monthly?
Well, they come, yeah, sure. So they come with a warranty, a product warranty. And that depends on which panel you choose in the end, how long it takes to sign. Then we identify panels. And that warranty is either 12 to 20 years typically in the commercial sector. So that's the product warranty. And then there's also the product which changes it from DC power to AC power, which you can use in the facility. And that's with equipment that's also a 12-year warranty and above. So those are product warranties. And then you're speaking about your labor. By Maryland law, it's 1 year. You have 1 year, everything's covered. After that, then you can sign an O&M agreement, and that's an operations and maintenance agreement, and then it's typically like, $1,500 a year per site for that. But there's very little maintenance on these. If something's gonna break, it's typically within, you turn it on and something's just not working properly, so it just gets replaced for free. It's very rare to have something break after year 1 to year, whatever, 25, that the system's gonna be operational. But if it does, you're just paying for labor if it's not covered under the product warranty.
Gotcha. Do the panels need to be replaced after so many years, like 20, 30 years, or what's the lifespan?
No,
of
the
them?
lifespan is fine. They're a solid state technology, but with innovation, in 15 years, 20 years, you might want to. If you wanted to go from, say, this might be a 625 watt panel, they might be 1,300 watts at that point. So you might want to
So
do
the
it,
efficiency
but
range.
if it makes sense. How much is it going to cost to replace them? How much more energy are you going to save? But most people are keeping them on there for a lifetime.
And who would do the maintenance program? Is that something we purchase through you or through Energy
You
Select?
can purchase it through any third party, but yeah, we have an O&M department, and typically it's beneficial to whoever did the install to do the O&M, to do the operation and maintenance too.
Thank you for your presentation. And this makes me very happy that working with one of our Leonardtown businesses as well.
Yeah.
I think this is a win-win.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So do we need a motion or?
Is our motion just to approve
I was gonna say,
the
yeah.
50,000?
Oh, wait.
We should have, okay, let me just look at your agenda. It's authorizing the signing of the Maryland Energy Administration Grant Agreement and the federal tax credit for Energy Select to install the solar panels on the 3 town sites. You don't have to reread it. You can just take that for the motion. Somebody.
I move.
Move to approve that motion. Correct.
Yes, I do.
Well, second.
Motion is second. Further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Then next month we'll bring back the budget.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to close the regular meeting and open the public hearing.
I move that we close the regular meeting and open the public hearing for case number 4325, the Singletree quad duplex.
I'll second. Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Jeanine, gonna give us an
Yes, I will.
upgrade here?
Presentation coming up. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeanine Harrington, Assistant Town Administrator, and I will do the overview of the Singletree PUD that's before you tonight in the public hearing, as was reviewed by the town planner, Mike Bailey, and he presented this to the Planning Commission at their rescheduled April 6th meeting, and we did include their findings within the staff report. I'll start with just some general information about the site. So the planned unit, this is zoned planned unit development mixed use, and it has been for quite a while. We'll get into that a little bit more. They are proposing a quad duplex, or quadplex, I should say, 4 units within one dwelling. The site is 0.44 acres. And the applicant is coming before the town council to request concept site development plan for approval. So the property is located on the east side of Miss Bessie Drive, directly across from St. Mary's Hospital. And they have their 2-story quadplex before you tonight with a total building area of 3,600 square feet and a footprint of 1,800 square feet. So that means that just the outprint of the building is 800 square feet, and because it's 2-story, you would multiply that by 2, and that's where you get to 3,600 square feet. The total height of the building is pending final architectural and facade review. So they haven't come forward with that yet. That's not a requirement at the concept plan stage. The Planning Commission did weigh in a little bit, and we'll get on into that once we get a little further. As far as the overall project history is concerned, the original PUD was approved in 1984. This was the original PUD plan, and I did highlight the legend area where the site is located. It was approved for multifamily, townhouses, duplexes, garden apartments, or single-family detached homes. So that was, the PUD is meant to be more flexible. It's meant to allow for a multitude of different types of uses. So that's how that was presented and approved back to 1984. Phase 8, which is where this lot is located, was approved in 1999, and that did receive planning and zoning as well as town council approval. And for the zoning verification, I know that there was some confusion because there was a plat that was recorded in 2001, I believe, that showed a zoning of RSF, or residential single family, but that was an error. So as far as we can tell, we've gone back to the 1980 meeting minutes, all the way up through our current zoning maps, and it has always been PUD. It was PUD 5 when they had differences between the different neighborhoods, but it's always been planned unit development. So for the proposed development, they are looking to do this quadplex. I just lost my train of thought. That always happens, right? So we have the quadplex building, and they do have parking to the rear of the property. There's going to be a shared driveway with the neighboring property that is currently vacant. And there is stormwater management that's proposed on the north end of the site, which is a micro bioretention area. I know it's a little confusing on the concept plan. It looks like it might be a pond or something else. It is a micro bioretention area, so there is no standing water. It will be vegetation and mulch, most likely. So there's a diagram picture up there within that. So as far as the council findings, when this comes forward for concept development, the purpose of this PUD zoning is to make sure that the proposed development does not adversely affect the health and safety of the residents and workers in the area. We want to make sure that it doesn't adversely impact the town's master plan or comprehensive plan. The proposed planned unit development will meet the stated objectives and standards and performance criteria as stated in the town code. And going into the actual planned unit development zone, it was created to permit a creative approach to development of the land and recognize the community character and heritage of Leonardtown through a layer of streets and alleys in a grid or modified grid. ensure that tracts and lots which may be subdivided will preserve the character of the town by the continuation of elements such as through streets and alleys, sidewalks, and shade trees, provide for an efficient use of land resulting in smaller networks of utilities and streets, and thereby lowering housing maintenance costs, enhance the appearance of neighborhoods through preservation of natural features, the provision of underground facilities, and the provision of recreation areas and open space, provide the opportunity for new approaches to home ownership, provide an environment of stable character compatible with surrounding residential areas, encourage the use of traditional neighborhood development design principles. That there is a 1999 development design manual that was reviewed and approved by the town. So based on this conceptual layout, staff did do a review for the planned unit development regulations and found that it was in compliance with the stated objectives and regulations. The facade and the architectural review is something that was noted when the Planning Commission reviewed it, and they did state that they wanted to make sure that the facade and the appearance will fit in with the surrounding residential neighborhoods. The applicant is here tonight, and they can speak further to that objective, but from what we understand, they are willing to work with the town to come up with a design that's cohesive with the surrounding neighborhood. We also want to provide a visual perspective. Now, this is not the exact building, this is not the exact dimensions, but we wanted to kind of show you what it would look like if you were going to have a two-story building next to the existing residential dwelling, along with the existing commercial office building that's further to the south of the site. So this is something that, you have the trees that would be planted along the property line. As noted on the site plan, there is a 26-foot side setback.
Yes.
From the property line, and then there's a 30-plus buffer from the front. So there is a decent amount of space in between the two dwellings. This just gives you a visual perspective that if you were walking down the street, that is something along the lines of what you would see when you have the landscaping and trees in place. We also wanted to provide you with context of the surrounding neighborhood that we can tie into the future facade and architectural review. There are a lot of traditional homes, there's brick, there's the neutral colors that are throughout the development, and a lot of trees, a lot of greenery. So it's just something that we want to make sure that we keep into consideration as we move forward. But with that, town planning staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission have determined that the proposed concept site development plan is consistent with the original Singletree PUD and the applicable provisions of the Town of Leonardtown Municipal Code. And staff is recommending that the mayor and council hold a public hearing and further approve the concept plan pursuant to Town Code Section 155-24.c.4. With that,
So I did want to amend one thing that was said. The side building restriction line that separates the two buildings is 10 feet, not 20 feet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because I was looking at that, I was like, wait a minute, something didn't sound right.
but according to the site plan, it is 25.8 feet.
Oh, the building
Yes.
is 25 feet
Yes.
away from the property line, yes.
Right, that's what
I
I was trying to.
apologize.
Yeah.
I heard that wrong.
But the PUD is 10 feet.
The building restriction line for the PUD is 10 feet, yes.
But yes, the building is set back farther than that, it's 25.8 feet away from the property line. And we do have the applicant here, should you guys continue on their presentation, do you guys see any assessors?
I'm sorry, I did not do a presentation. Your staff is doing a wonderful job. There's not much more I can do. It would be redundant.
Okay.
I do want to just bring up one point, if I may. I dug up some information from SDAC, which is Department of Assessments and Taxation.
Just for...
I'm sorry, my name's Wayne Hunt with Little Silence Address. I prepared the site plan in front of you. In addition, after I say something, if you have any questions about the site plan, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But the information I wanted to bring up from SDAT is, first off, this is a proposed 3,600 square foot building. And at the planning hearing, it was brought up quite a bit, the size of this building. And the first thing is, I looked at the rest of the buildings along Miss Bessie and did an average. And the average does not work in our favor. The average is 2,300 square feet, so it is a little bit bigger. but it is not the largest residential building along Miss Bessie. 23205 Jennifer Court, which is at the corner of Miss Bessie and Jennifer Court, is 4,400 square feet, so it's not the largest building out there. In addition, keep in mind that these are 4 single-bedroom apartments. And we're not talking about, large apartments. We're talking like the, let's call it garden apartment or something like that. But regardless, all the other houses along Miss Bessie are 4 and 5 bedroom homes. So it really is not, just to give you some perspective to the size in relation to the rest of the buildings on Miss Bessie.
Wait till after the public hearing?
Because we can ask questions during.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wait till after the hearing.
Thank you.
So, you all know, that's all.
That's all I've got for you.
There was a number of letters and emails, I think you've got copies of.
Yes, all that was submitted into the public record.
Which we all got copies of. Okay, any public comment today? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address.
No problem. I'm Katie Trueblood. I live at 41590 Miss Bessie Drive. I can see this lot from my dining room. I can see it from my kitchen window and my front yard. Couple things that I want to say. The first is that there are 3 bus stops along Miss Bessie Drive. At Brandon Court, at Jennifer, and then at Joanne. It's very busy. Every child from that entire Singletree neighborhood gets on and off the bus at Miss Bessie Drive. It just does. There is already a tremendous amount of congestion and traffic that goes up and down Miss Bessie on a typical Monday through Friday. People use Miss Bessie Drive as a cut through from Clark's Rest to get over to Hollywood Road to get out. People are using it to get to the Board of Ed building to work, so on and so forth. It's very busy. And so my concern is adding, a quadplex, which is an apartment building, it's 1 bedroom, but 2 people can live in a bedroom. And we're talking about adding more congestion to an already very congested street with that many kids that get on and off the bus on that particular road. So I am concerned about that. Aside from that, parking. I think on one of the concept plans we saw, it was something like 2 parking spaces allocated per unit for this particular quadplex. What happens if they have visitors? What happens if there's maintenance crews that need to come in to do, repair work or plumbing or what have you? Where are those folks going to park? Are they going to park along Miss Bessie? Or are they going to park over at the outpatient pavilion and walk? What are they going to do? There's a lot of pedestrian traffic along Miss Bessie Drive. It is truly a single-family neighborhood. You've got a lot of young kids on bicycles. You've got folks walking their dogs up and down the street. I'm concerned about additional traffic or vehicles on the side of the road that might impact that. And also statistically, and I understand somebody said, and maybe you can correct me, but somebody said that the goal of this was to have additional housing options for doctors that might be visiting or doing some stints at the hospital there, and that's great. The thing is, though, is that, something like this is designed so that you have a renter, so that you have income, and these types of things. It's designed to make money. So you're going to rent at the end of the day to whoever can pay the rent. Statistically, young adults age 18 to 29 are more likely to rent an apartment than to rent a single family home. It affects the ecosystem of the neighborhood. When you take a neighborhood that has families with young children, retirees, folks that are seasoned working professionals that appreciate a calmer, more quiet phase of life, and then you introduce folks that might be a little younger. I know there was a deck on one of the concept plans that I saw. What are we subjecting the quiet neighborhood to when you introduce an apartment building to a very quiet, calm, single-family neighborhood? So I know there's plenty of other people that want to speak about this. I know there's concerns about the house that's right next door. But for me, for my family, for many of the residents I've spoken to, we would prefer if you would protect The quiet, which again is a part of the town plan, if I'm not mistaken, to respect the charm and the character of the town of Leonardtown, and make sure that it maintains its family-friendly avenues and neighborhoods and the character of these neighborhoods, to include the visuals, which this is not visually a part of the Williamsburg style of the neighborhood. And so I ask that you consider rejecting this plan because it's not consistent with those values.
Thank you. Roger?
Good afternoon, members of the Town Council and neighbors. My name is Roger Mattingly, 23160 Aloysius Court. I live just one door down from the proposed apartment building. Singletree is a unique community. It is defined by single-family homes, and in this area, single-story homes. We're not just a collection of houses, we are a neighborhood with a shared expectation of privacy and scale. While we understand the lot is zoned for multifamily use, we think it must be balanced with compatibility. I've asked each of you to come out and visit the site so you can understand the neighborhood and see the size of the lot and see the area that they're all single-story homes. A two-story building is fundamentally out of character for this area. Placing a massive vertical structure in a bunch of single-story bungalows creates a towering effect. It compromises the privacy of every backyard it overlooks. Furthermore, this is a residential neighborhood, not a commercial corridor. While we respect the property owner's right to build for investment income, that income should not come at the expense of the existing residents' quality of life and property values. Development should enhance a neighborhood, not dominate it. Now, I've sat here and I've heard the developers say we must build 2 stories to make the project financially viable. And I say that this is a self-created hardship. The desire for a specific profit margin does not override the community's right to a consistent neighborhood scale. We ask that any project on this site be restricted to a single-story height to maintain the integrity, privacy, and character of Singletree. We're not against the growth, but we're against the growth that ignores the people already living there. Please keep this development to a single story so that the neighborhood can remain home that we all love. As a 57-year member of the Leonardtown Volunteer Fire Department, I have some very serious fire safety concerns. There are only 8 parking spaces, a dumpster pad, retention pond, and no green space for children to play. With only 2 parking spaces per unit, any guest will have to park somewhere. Where, you ask? They're going to park in that aisle, in that access aisle. Illegally parked vehicles, delivery trucks, trash trucks, etc. will kill our access. If the access aisle is blocked and too tight for an engine to get within 50 feet of the front door, we are forced to long stretches of hose. Every foot of hose laid is time lost while the fire grows. Another concern for the fire department is the size of the lot. Why are we trying to squeeze this apartment building on a lot that is clearly for a single-family home? The building, the parking spaces, the dumpster pad, the retention pond, there's no room for 1 fire truck, more or less than 13 specialized pieces of equipment that will be called in case of a fire on this lot. Ladies and gentlemen, you must put life safety in your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Chaplin. I'm a tenant at 23155 Aloysius Court, which is the property directly next door. I am here on behalf of Claudia Brubacher, the homeowner. We have multiple concerns about the development of this. Most of it has been covered by them, but her biggest concern is the property value of her home. She's approaching the age where she is getting ready to transition to assisted living, and trying to sell the property will be much harder with a 2-story apartment building next door as opposed to a single-family home or something of that nature. She's extremely concerned with that. Also the noise. You don't know what kind of tenants are going to end up in there, and you don't know what to expect. That's really all extra I have to add.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other?
Oh, yeah. I say that.
Name and address, please.
I will do it. Let me make sure I got it right. It's Marvin Kamenetz, 23150 Aloysius Court, which is on the corner of Aloysius and Miss Bessie. But I'm on the same plat, one of the 6 lots on the same plat with this proposal. I say, I have a whole thing written down because I thought I was only going to have 3 minutes, but I'm not going to take much longer because I don't need to repeat what the people in front of me have just said in opposition to this proposal. I would add to Roger that it is in 231-155-23, where it talks about you protecting the neighborhood, health, safety, welfare, all those things. And then if you go a little further, and you might say, well, that's only listed as a recital that you have to do that. That is made part of this ordinance. If you read just a little bit further, you will find in that same section part, and this is number 2. It says the recitals are part of they're brought in as substantive part of the ordinance. That means it's just as much a part of this law that governs your decision. 203 governs your decision with the zoning ordinance. It overlays the zoning ordinance. And if there was a mistake made years ago, look what has happened and the way it's developed. You don't have, what sense does it make to go back and talk about something that was done in 1984? Look how it's been developed since 2001. That's what this neighborhood that I call Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, that's spelled R-O-G-E-R-S, that, in fact, is the way this has been developed. Anything else, and it talks about compatibility to the surrounding structures, that is not compatible. And with that, I rest my case.
Thank you. See a hand over here to the left.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Ann Friesen. I'm a relatively recent resident of Leonardtown. I bought my home just a few years ago. I thought this was a single-family neighborhood. I heard you say that in 1989, 4 single-family homes. So I register my disappointment. I think what has been articulated before really speaks to some of the issues, predominantly the safety of children in the neighborhood. We're talking about the butterfly trail in Leonardtown. We've started that effort in Singletree, and people are very supportive of that. So I think Singletree exhibits what you want in Leonardtown, and I'm very, very disappointed and actually shocked that this type of apartment building is being considered in this type of neighborhood. I'm really quite stunned. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Fred Calvert. I live at 23185 Kitty Court. I'm the 3rd lot from this particular property. I heard tonight for the first time that the 3,600 square foot size of the 2-story building is reference to other houses down the street from this location. My house is 1,800 square feet of living space. I live in a group of 9 single-family homes that are all about the same size, 1,800 to 2,000 square feet, which represents 1 floor of this building. And I think because of that, that should be in reference to our size homes, not the homes 3 or 4 blocks down the street, like was mentioned. And I object to a wide driveway coming into the complex. Also object to that some 60-foot by 20-foot wide retention drainage pond. That's the wrong word for it. But this, and also the major negativity to me on this property, we don't need a white and black 2-story building in this neighborhood. There's nothing like that anywhere. And if you go up and down Moakley Street, there are traditional designs on those commercial office buildings that tie in beautifully with our neighborhood. A white and black structure of a contemporary design does not belong here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Chris White, 41580 Miss Bessie Drive. I oppose it on several reasons. I was probably the one that mentioned the recorded plat. So phase 8 is part of 12 lots that was recorded and finalized and executed in conjunction with the town of Leonardtown and the developer. So that phase is separate from the entire Singletree. Each phase has its own regulations. So at note of that 13 of that plot says that these lots are designated residential single family. And there is a conflict, even if it was an error. The latest house, which was Marvin's house, in 2013 was built. The town had enough time to correct any error. It never did. So there's a conflict. So when there's a conflict, in the ordinance you go to 155, 147, and it states that the most strict must govern. So that's one issue. The second issue is density. I would like to know how they came up with 10 units per acre. And that comes out to 4 units. Now, since that phase was finalized, that is done. The PUD's ability to be flexible comes at the concept plan, like you're about to do with Cedar Lane. You have all the flexibility in the world, but these lots in this phase is final and has been since 2001. And if so, if they approve this, it would need a special deviation, which has not occurred. Chain of title on the deeds. So I pulled all the deeds that go back to the original purchaser. And in each one of those deeds, it had the subject to language. In the latest deed, it was removed. I don't know why, but the covenants and restrictions, even though the town can't enforce it, the intent of the covenants was for single-family homes. Once again, I know you can't enforce it, but you also can't approve something that conflicts with stuff that's in the records, such as the covenants and the plat. This development in phase 8 has a common theme. The common theme is single family, 1 story, garage, brick foundation, and also Williamsburg theme. And the last thing is open space ratios. And I understand the PUD has flexibility. However, in this phase, when it was approved, the open space requirements were there. And once it's been finalized, you can't go back and pull open space from the other areas of the PUD. That's not right to the community. And my last thing is, someone may have said that there's already a precedent in the neighborhood on Doctor's Crossing. That is 0.97 of an acre. It does not have any plat restrictions. And it is zoned on the plat, PUD M. I would say that was correct. And the stormwater management is on a different parcel. It's not on the same parcel, but it's double in size of the subject property. And I know I probably forgot something else, but but it seems like you have to do a lot to get everything right. And also the fire department is required by state code to do a 20-foot driveway versus a 16. So if you increase it to 20 feet wide, now you increase the impervious area, which will make the stormwater management system even bigger. Right now it's 10 feet by 50 feet. And they're also changing the grade of the property. So right now the property is relatively flat. If you look at this, the site plan is sloping down. And we're hoping that the system contains the overflow of water going into the streets and ditches. Where are the kids going to play? There's no open space for kids. Majority of the lot, 49% to 50% of its impervious areas, sidewalks, asphalt, trash cans, UPS, where are they going to park? Fire engines, where are they going to park? visitors where they're gonna park. And I'm quite sure I'm forgetting something, but I think my main thing is the violation of note 13 on the plat. And when there's a conflict between zoning, because some people say, hey, the zoning was there. Yeah, it was there. But if a property developer decided to downgrade their own property and it was agreed by all parties, all 12 lots are downzoned themselves, later on you can't go back and say, I changed my mind, I want to make more money. You can't. But that's my thing. Anybody else? I'm sorry. One last comment, I'm sorry. I went to soil conservation today, and while in your package they approved or they made comments on it, the plan they have on record is not the plan you have in front of you. I say it again, the plan they have that they commented on is not the one that you have in front of you. I saw it with my own eyes.
Okay.
The building is different, the layout is different, everything's different.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Debbie Zilak. I own the Lot 8, which is off of Aloysius Court, and I really don't have anything to add, but I agree with what everyone said. It's a single family, I guess, development or neighborhood, and we'd really like it to stay that way. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Flowers. I'm a volunteer advocate for the citizens of Leonardtown. My address is 22541 Landing Way. Recently, we experienced St. Mary's County unlawfully attempt to impose an excise tax. The county oversteps its statutory authority, bypassed established law, and attempted to force an illegal mandate onto the people. Tonight, the commission is standing on the exact same precedence. You are being asked to approve concept plan 4325 for a quadruplex on Miss Bessie Drive. If you approve this plan, you are not just granting a development variance, you are executing an unlawful zoning override that violates the town's own code and dismantles the established property rights of the Singletree neighborhood. The mathematics and the law on this project are absolute. The 2001 record plat for Singletree Phase 8 explicitly designates a Lot 11 as residential single family. Town Code Section 15521 caps density in this district at 5 units per acre. The applicant is tending to force 4 units on a 0.44 acre lot, resulting in a density of over 9 units per acre. Under Leonardtown's PUD procedures, any density increase exceeding 5% is legally defined as a substantial deviation. The applicant is asking for a 300% increase. The commission does not have the administrative authority to grant this. Under Leonardtown Code Section 155147, when a conflict exists between general zoning regulations and a recorded plat, the more restrictive standard must govern. Furthermore, under the Maryland Court of Appeals, ruling in Turner versus Boccato, Singletree Phase 8 represents a common scheme of development. The applicant purchased this lot less than a year ago, in July 2025, with full construction notice of these restrictions. Any ability to build a quadruplex is a self-created hardship. The town cannot selectively ignore recorded designations without violating the equitable rights of the surrounding property owners. But this is just not statutory violations. It is a direct threat to the physical infrastructure of the neighborhood. The 20 by 30 foot joint access easement shares with Lot 12 was engineered specifically to facilitate single family access. Forcing multi-unit traffic and commercials uses operations into that single point of ingress and egress materially overburns the easement and creates an immediate physical hazard for the residents who live there. Additionally, the applicant's stormwater management drain requires significant excavation directly inside the recorded unity assessed easement. This explicitly violates Note 6 of the 2001 plat, which strictly prohibits any structure or grade changes in that area. We cannot operate a municipality where the rules are rewritten simply because the developer wants to maximize profit at the expense of the residents' safety and sovereignty. The legal constructs are absolute. The physical safety risks are undeniable. I am formally asking this commission to refuse the standard, adhere to section 155147, and deny case 4325 in its entirety. Thank you.
I do have one more thing to add.
Comments, questions? Yes.
Ever since this property was purchased,
Again, your name and...
Michael Chaplin, I'm at 23155 Aloysius next door. Ever since this property was purchased, it has not been maintained at all. The grass is over a foot tall now, and it's just, if this is a reflection of what's to come, it's not good. That's all.
Real quick, Marvin Kamenetz again. Who says you need a lawyer when you have neighbors like this, by the way? I just want to remind the council that you have the ultimate, it's a strong word, discretion in deciding this project. If it meets all the requirements, which of course now I'm satisfied it may not, even if it did, but if you find that it didn't adhere and align itself with the intent of the ordinance, I urge you to look at, and I'll give you the section number, it's the real biggie, it's the purpose and intent, okay, of this PUD. And it talks about, it's in section 155-20A and B. And when I first read A, I said, yeah, I understand, multifamily. It talks about people, builders, architects, bringing to you developments that do just what this PUD and just what you're saying you want to do. Developments. It doesn't say developing an existing lot, but then you go ahead and look in subsection B, which says what the intent is. And when you read what the intent is, in me trying to decide what this statute means, it tells you how to lay it out. It talks about streetscapes. It goes back to that 1999 plan for the town. That talks about creating blocks that are in conformity with each other, with alleyways. That's not this. I urge you to use your common sense in using your discretion in denying this project. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be heard, because you all need to know, if anybody was present at the planning and zoning hearing, none of this that we weren't allowed to talk about. This is where you are hearing it from us, the first time we've had to express our feelings. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Chris White, 41580 Miss Bessie Drive. On the town of Leonardtown Chart A, where it talks about density and height and setbacks. So if we are PUD M, it says the maximum density is 5 per acre. And if it's RMF, there's a maximum of 10 per acre. We are not MF, and if there is 10, there's a special exception for garden apartments. Special exception. And since we are residential single family, there's a different one. So, and that's 4 per acre, but we don't have an acre, it's less than a half an acre. So that's it.
Thank you.
I got something. My name is James Claiborne. I'm 41560 Miss Bessie Drive. Obviously, my neighbors here, they've spoken eloquently about the situation. I just ask that you guys, first and foremost, thank you all for what you guys do for the community. Secondly, if you guys set this precedence, just remember the Pandora's box that may be opening. And it could be in your very own community, the same thing happens. So I think that you should keep this in mind as we make these decisions and understand, like, this is what the community is speaking of. And take that to heart. It's not just today, right now. This is in the future. This could happen in any of the other communities, and it can very much so happen right in your neighborhood. And I think you should take that in consideration of how, someone who's built their community and built their neighborhood as a family, tight-knit family that we try to be, you see how we come in this a collective group and speak, volumes of how this really does affect our lives. So I hope that you guys take that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do have one more thing. Again, Dr. Mary Ann Friesen, I do live in Singletree. I just have one comment. I was not expecting this at all. I mean, part of the reason I moved to Leonardtown was the attractiveness of the town, small town feel, and then to know that you could move into a single family neighborhood and a quadruplex could be built there. That was not at all what I was expecting out of Leonardtown. So I'm really, again, very stunned, but I think the neighbors have spoken very eloquently, and this was just brought to, I appreciate you giving us the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Back.
My name is Kenny Scully. I live at 41535 Trace Court in Singletree. I have been a resident of Singletree since 1998, and I have always enjoyed the single-family atmosphere of our community, and I am opposed to a apartment complex being built in our community.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Jeff Smith, 41640 Matthew Court. I appreciate everything that everybody has said. I've been living in the neighborhood for 15 years, 16 years actually. Again, like everybody else, I moved into Singletree because of the single-family home neighborhood. It was like the pride of Leonardtown when I moved in there. To have an apartment building basically go up in our neighborhood is not only going to bring down the value of our homes, but the gentleman here said the houses right here on Miss Bessie are 4 and 5 bedroom homes, and I think that is incorrect. I think the majority of the homes that are in phase 8 are 3 bedroom homes. I have a 2,500 square foot house, but I have a full unfinished basement, and he mentioned that there was homes in there over 4,000 square feet. Well, that's a big house with a full finished basement, and this apartment building that's going in there is not going to have a basement. They can count to some of the 3,600 square feet of their building. So I just wanted to clarify that all the homes are not the way that he described them.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
23205 Jennifer Court, on
Pardon,
the
I'm
corner
sorry.
of Miss Bessie and Jennifer Court. So I sit on my porch with my dogs. Everyone has seen me walking my dogs because I have these 2 big black dogs that you see me walk. So I don't want any more traffic. I would really love speed bumps and a whole lot of other things. But it's already dangerous enough to walk the dogs. I have lights on them. I have reflective vests. I wear reflective vests. And the traffic is horrendous. And I can't imagine more young people now, supposedly it's going to the doctors. So, oh, well, they might be speeding to the hospital. So, that does not mean they wouldn't speed the 5,000 feet they have to go. I see that it's graded. The graded means more water. More water means that it goes back down to my yard, and I get the crawfish with my mosquitoes. That's how many mosquitoes I have. That's how bad it is. I have crawfish growing. So I see drainage, which means more water, more standing water, which means more of a health problem for me and the neighborhood. And I have complained. So I look at it as that the access and the egress is not big enough. 10 feet wide is not that big for 2 cars going in and out. Just try anywhere where that is. So, and grading is just, I'm sorry, I used to design buildings, shopping malls, and homes for a living. And I just would have not been able to do this. It hurts. It's that ugly. Besides the color and it not fitting into the general style, because it's the Williamsburg style down here, and that just looks like, white stuff and black stuff slapped together to form a siding. And you'll need the fire department because it'll be aluminum foil and it'll just burn on the inside. So safety, water, cars, speed, kids, all of that.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, what was your name?
Jill Nadeau.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
I'm Jeff Triblo, 41590 Miss Bessie Drive. And, just with all this too, I just wanted to reiterate that, obviously talked on Facebook and talked to neighbors about everything. And, I've just heard it doesn't really fit with our neighborhood and it doesn't fit with the design and the quiet, everyone walking around and there's things. And we do have problems with cars and traffic from the commercial areas and have asked for, police to set out there and set those speed signs to show you how fast you're going, because we all are there, and adding 4 more on a small area, small road, does increase the danger to everyone walking, to children on bikes, to children on scooters and little things that they play on. And that's kind of what I had to say. Everyone else has done such a good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearings none. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing and open the regular meeting.
All right, I move to close the public hearing and open the regular meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I guess I'll start. I'm sure we all have plenty of questions. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who's come out. Thank you for all the written comments. We did receive them. So, Wayne, I'm going to start with a question for you, because this has been a recurring theme at Planning Commission meeting and this evening as well. Is there any chance that you could make this a 1-story building, or is that dead in the water?
That's not for me to answer. That would be for the owner.
And just, we would not, if we do approve this, still has to go through approval for architectural and design. So we are not approving, if we do approve anything, we're not approving that today.
I'm Jackie Miser, attorney for the applicant. Good evening. In response to the question, yes, clearly the building could be 1 story, and somebody who wants to build a 2-story single-family residential home could build a 1-story home also, right? But they, for whatever reason, would like to build a 2-story residential home. So I don't think it's a question of possibility as much as it is developer preference for the development of that property ultimately. And to Mr. Burris's point, the architectural review will be left for another evening at final plan approval stage.
Thank you.
I can add, this is Jean-Pierre Bory, I'm the applicant. I just want to add that the main purpose or goal of this project is to house some of the physicians and the providers who drive from other states from far away and might not be able to, they stay at hotels and they drive up and down sometimes. It will basically facilitate housing some of those specialists that in a way that would be more very, very convenient for the hospital, at the same time not very burdensome on those providers that myself included. I drive an hour and a half every day. That was the whole impetus of looking to be able to live here when I'm working at the hospital. And I have other colleagues in the same boat, and this is really the hope of this project, and that's why we're looking at 4 units that will be able to serve 4 providers, so you can imagine the type of tenant or person living in those places is basically to fit that profile. We're not it's not really designed for other rent tenants or other type of younger generation people, or that's really the hope.
Hope is a strong word.
And to be clear for the members, you're currently a practicing physician
Yes,
at the hospital, correct?
I just want to say thank you for everyone that did speak today. Everything you say I truly take serious, and I do appreciate it. My opinion, this really does not fit character of Singletree. I mean, Singletree is, to me, single-family homes. That's how I remember it. To me, this does not fit in at all to that neighborhood. I do have a question, though. The back parking lot, are there going to be streetlights back there, or how bright is that going to be?
There's a note on there that I wrote. We designed it, and it's shown right here. Have a single unit, and it's a shoebox style, so it doesn't work with the light pollution. On a 20-foot pole, so it's not so high that this light's spilling into the neighboring property. And I also put a 20-degree forward throw on it. So the light that normally spills out the back towards this property is kicked up.
Okay.
The design templates for this show less than a half candle power of light at the property line.
Okay. I guess if something like this truly had to go there, I just truly wish it fit in to the community. To me, this does not fit in.
Question for staff about the density question. What is the approved density in that area?
It's 5 units per acre, but with a PUD, it's calculated on the entire PUD and the number of acres in the PUD. So the original calculation with Parks, Grass, or any, you look at the entire PUD, certain things are subtracted, steep slopes, streams, that sort of thing. And then you calculate the 5 units, so the overall density is allowed in that, as the overall PUD.
Gotcha.
So it
So
does
it looks at the overall.
It does meet
not-
that, but certainly you have the, in a PUD is flexible and comes to you all because of the neighborhood character and such, so you do have that added benefit.
I feel like, I'm hoping that we can, I want to table this because I think there's a lot of information and I have a ton of questions for this one, just things that have just even come up today, the fire code and whatnot. How can we proceed? Like, what would we need to do? Would we need to provide a list of all the things that we want from the town, from our staff to be able to better educate us?
Sure. Okay. You can give us a list of questions that you have and you can work with the designers and,
Thank you.
I would like to not table this. I feel like at this point, I've heard what has to be said. I don't think it fits in. I think it sets a bad precedent for the neighborhood. I think, now you have one apartment complex, now you're gonna have another. Eventually all those homes in Singletree could become apartment complexes. We don't have the infrastructure for that. We don't have the safety. We don't have the room for fire trucks. I think it's just a slippery slope. And so I think I'd like to make a decision today.
Yeah, I'll agree with Mary. I'm ready to make a decision this evening. But Wayne, I don't know if it's a question for you or Mike. With landscaping, I see the trees that are proposed. What kind of trees are they? And is there any type of like grasses or bushes that would have to be provided?
So making a concept submittal, it's really not something that's required to itemize all the trees and that kind of thing, or even describe which ones they are. That typically comes during the final design portion of review.
Okay.
We're recognizing the need to screen the property from adjoining properties, or the development from adjoining properties, sorry. And it just shows that we know that we're making an effort to show that we are going to do this.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right, can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Fred Calvert, 23185 Kitty Court, back to trees. At great expense, I put in green giant arborvitae. They're expensive trees, they're evergreen. They grow 3 feet a year, and they really do. And instead of deciduous trees that's graphically shown on the drawings, I recommend that we consider something like a green giant arborvitae tree. It stays green all year long, and it really grows fast vertically and horizontally. Thank you.
If this is denied today, can the applicant come back? How does that work?
I believe that they can't bring it back for 2 years.
As an apartment or as any building?
No, just this particular
As what's being
what's
presented.
being presented. They would have to come back to you if there was more than 10% design change anyway on PUD.
So that they could bring it back less than 2 years. I'm understanding that.
As long as it exceeds the 10% design change.
So if they went from a 4-unit to a 2-unit, that would be acceptable.
That's correct.
Or a single-family unit would be
That would be
acceptable.
50% change, yes.
Fair.
If I may, again, Jackie Meiser on behalf of the applicant, at a time when it's appropriate, may I just be heard in the general sense on behalf of the applicant before you determine whether or not you're moving forward with a decision this evening?
That would be now.
I was going to say, is there something you would like to say now? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I just didn't want to interrupt your questions or anything else. I'm happy to wait until until you're finished. But okay. So as you've noted, there were a lot of issues raised this evening by the public comment, and I believe that some of them require a factual response, which probably can't be provided effectively this evening.
Sure.
And so, and a lot of the comments are based on the general feeling that the surrounding residents would like it to remain a single-family residential neighborhood. But I don't think that it can be ignored that this is not single-family residential zoning. It's inherently PUD zoning, which calls for a mixture of uses. That said, calculating the density, as you just heard, which is the appropriate way for a PUD, there is, I believe, still 14% of the total 125 approximate acres of the PUD that could be developed as apartments, townhomes, or multifamily. So I think there are these factors that perhaps could be more elaborated on to ensure that a fully informed decision is being made. And so I'm asking respectfully, at a bare minimum, if you could please table your decision and allow the applicant and staff an opportunity to respond factually to all of the comments that have been raised. I made a very careful notation of each and every concern of everyone who spoke tonight. And we'd like an opportunity to address those comments on a point-by-point basis before you take action on this application. Again, to reiterate, just asking that we could please have an opportunity to respond on a point-by-point basis before any action is taken.
I'm sorry, I just, and it's nothing. I guess my concern is that they're talking about, the doctors that come in, and believe me, we're very appreciative for that. But I know there is the complex that's off of Doctors Crossing, and I very rarely see cars there, and my understanding is that's for visiting doctors or doctors that come in. And the other thing the doctor mentioned was, it sounds like he said to me he's only going to rent to doctors. What happens in 5 years if he leaves St. Mary's and decides to sell the complex? Then what happens? Thank you.
Chris White, 41580 Miss Bessie Drive.
I can allow them.
The intent, I can intend to do something, but my intent can change without giving anyone any notice. So I may intend to rent to doctors, lawyers, electricians, but at any time my intent can change. Also, it goes back to like the PUD. The PUD's flexibility is that concept plan, right? This phase has been finalized, and they're trying to pull density from other areas of the PUD. That's not correct.
I would like to say something. My name is Brian Shepard. I'm an architect, and I'm also from St. Mary's County, and I am actually employed by the applicant to design this building. Designs can change, designs can fit in, but a planned unit development is designed for mixed housing type, and that's you're taking this idea of not in my backyard, and you're giving it to you're giving it power by denying this application. And as me as a design professional, that's really upsetting to me, because you have taken the whole essence of what a planned unit development is, and you've reduced it to this single quote, not in my backyard. And we need mixed housing in this community. So I'm not offended by design, that can change, but the density is smart growth. And that's what we need, is smart growth. And I apologize for getting a little upset about this, but as a design professional, I step away from my applicant and I look at it as going, you're taking away smart growth within our community.
I would just point out, we have not made a formal decision yet. We're still discussing this, so.
Okay.
Give us a chance.
Yep.
If I may, one more point for your consideration. I think that a lot of the issues that were raised this evening could be the same issues that could be problematic potentially by if the property was being proposed to be built as a 2-story single-family residential home. If a family is going to move in there with 2 kids, they're going to have 4 cars potentially if the kids are teenagers. You're going to have the same issue of, if there are 4 cars in the driveway, where are the guests going to park when there's a dinner party? Where is the UPS truck going to pull up to? They're going to pull up in the road like they do at every other house in the neighborhood. So you might have really great neighbors that move in on day 1 when they build the house and everybody loves those neighbors, but those neighbors could sell, and somebody that nobody likes could move in there who has a lot of parties and isn't fitting with the neighborhood. I mean, these are all concerns that are not unique to the development of this property as being currently proposed, necessarily. So again, I would just ask that, because I'm not sure that full consideration has been given to all of the very valid points that have been made this evening, to please just allow the applicant the opportunity to respond to those very valid points on a point-by-point basis before any decision is made.
A couple other questions and we'll close.
Okay, real quick, I apologize. James Claiborne, 41560 Miss Bessie Drive. Some of the stuff that they just, the attorney and the architect said, those are valid points, but let me go back to the real thing. The community spoke, okay? That's a fact. We don't need to go around and hear what we want. So from a point-by-point case basis, the fact is, this is what is best for what we think the people who live in the community. Not the architect that's worried about future development, because it's not his yard. This is our yard. This is our neighborhood. This is the one that we created as the community. And this is what we hold true to us as a family, and that's why we're here in strength in numbers. Let's not lose sight of that. The community has spoken, and I know it's your job to take all of the facts and put them in front of you and say, make your decision respectfully. I understand that. I know no decision has been made, sir, but the fact of the matter is, I understand the last word is the last thing we remember. So I just want to sit back that everyone spoke all night and was eloquently, factually, how we feel on facts, not just on our feelings, as I just said, but on true facts. The community and what it's been for the last 20 plus years is what we want to remain. We don't want it to change. If we wanted to change, because like you said before, if you open up Pandora's box, what's not to say, you know what, I should take my house down and go put a community there. Let me make some more money. I can go rent out to all the military, my brethren that need places to live. We can all start opening up this to make more money, to make the community better, to make it grow for the growth. The fact is, it's our community. We're the residents. We've spoken, and this is how we truly feel. Respectfully. I rest my case for the evening. Thank you.
One more question from this.
Okay. I totally agree with what you're saying, and this whole sentiment of not in my backyard, I'm sorry, but it is our right to say that we don't want something in our backyard. We live there, you don't. But aside from that, I just want to urge you that the spirit of this town is keeping with the charm. It's keeping with the character. It's keeping with what makes Leonardtown Leonardtown. And so respectfully, any apartment complex coming up in a single family community, and this whole thing about the PUD, in 2001, it was signed, error or not, it was signed that this is supposed to be single family. So they keep talking about the PUD that was way before that, But in 2001, this was signed differently, and it's been operating like that ever since. And I think that you should make a decision tonight respectfully. As Mr. Clyburn said, the community has spoken on this.
Let's go back, that's not from the
May I
public.
just, I'm sorry, may I address the point that was just made?
Wait a minute.
Since
We'll
you're
go, let
the
let
attorney-
counselor go. I'm fine. I like to be last. I usually used to be.
Since you're the applicant's attorney, one last comment to make.
Just want to point out that there's, been a lot of discussion about the plat note. The plat note, right, wrong, oversight, not an oversight, mistake, not a mistake, it doesn't change the underlying zoning of the property.
And that is from our attorney.
We do have a direct response from the town attorney that the recorded plat is part of the background record and was reviewed as part of the project history and
Good, tell me.
context. But it does not override the base zoning of the pipeline.
Council members.
Oh, I have another question. Can I
Sure.
ask that?
Yes, you can ask questions.
Okay. This document, you included, thank you for, I had to like blow it up and see because it's so old, I'm sure it doesn't scan well. Can you tell me what this was part of or what this was approved for or what this is?
That was put in.
It was the 1984 PUD plat that designated the specific areas in which development was to occur within that 125 acre.
So this was part of the approved PUD?
That's correct.
1995. Yeah.
That's why it looks the way it does.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a PUD? I know we're different than the county. The county has PUD documents, like basically zoning ordinances for the PUD.
It's separate.
This is
It's
different.
This is a.
We don't have that.
Theirs is like an overlay, ours is the actual
Okay,
base.
I just wanted to make sure. I thought that was the case, but I just wanted to make sure. So this was approved as part of the PUD?
Yes.
When the PUD was approved?
So I'm just trying to talk this out. So if this was Leonard's Grant, for example, and there was a vacant lot in there, and Rodney Gert sold it to somebody else, and they resold it, they could just do this in Leonard's Grant.
It would go through a process because it would be different than what the original PUD was approved. His was all residential at the initial stages, just like this was what was shown on that. Some was
Gotcha.
commercial.
So it would be
some
like they have one of these
Yeah.
that says it's all.
And then if there is a
residential.
change later down the road, it would go through the whole public hearing process and you have to come back to you all and there's a plan.
Same thing with like Meadows, and it has its different phasing areas for townhouses, apartment buildings, single family, etc. Those are all been designated on the PUD document that was approved by you guys.
Gotcha.
Somebody.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just asking one more time. That's what this is. Yes.
Those neighborhoods are
Just trying
flood
to
zone, is that
put
right?
it all together.
Correct. What?
Yes, all of those are.
The office, okay.
So, can we get a better, now I'm
We have
asking
a
for
large,
stuff
a
and
large,
we
it's
might
a
not.
large
She blew up.
document,
Yes.
it's a large sheet.
She blew up, it's hard, I mean. Yeah. You had to like
Yeah.
zoom in, because when you copied it.
I know, it's-
impossible to read.
It's 1984. But I don't know. I'm not changing from table, so I think we need more information to be fair.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah, still,
Still,
those old plans are like, there's no title. Did we receive any comments from the fire department on this?
We don't have concept yet.
Don't know. Because I was wondering about fire
There's a lot
access.
more detail, I mean, we don't require architectural plan, we don't require, detailed engineering. It's really just where they're gonna treat the stormwater, if they have enough room for it, and it is just the basic premise of what they're gonna do.
So in concept approval process, they're only required to show 11 things. And they're very basic in nature. And one of the things that I like to do when I bring a concept plan to the planning commission is at least give the planning commission the opportunity to look at what the building is potentially going to look like. Because I always like the consultants and or owners, when they leave there, at least to have an idea from the planning commission what they're looking for to keep consistent. And so they've gotten quite a bit of feedback for this building. but this is still a concept plan to you guys. So, it could substantially change in many, many different directions, specifically based on your comments here. So, the idea, it is a concept plan. So concept means that it can change.
Oh,
I want to respond and just say, for me, I understand all this about the PUD and all the regulations, but for me, this does adversely affect the town master plan. This is not part of our plan. So I think going back and looking at other numbers and looking at other paperwork isn't going to change my mind to the fact that it still doesn't fit in, it's still not part of the plan. So on that note, I'd like to move to deny case number 43-25, Singletree Quad Duplex on Miss Bessie Drive.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second, further discussion.
I want to table, so.
We have to get.
So we have to, right, we have to vote on what's proposed.
Any further discussion?
So again, if it's denied, it's just got to be percentage smaller.
It's got to change by 10%.
I think they've gotten a lot of feedback too that they could do that.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion to deny?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So who's in favor of denial? 3 to 2.
Can I just say something? So I'm not 100% sure on that, about coming back. I mean, if there's a change in the overall PUD that later that the developer wants to do, then it comes back to you. I would really like to get our attorney to weigh in on that because I don't really know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that that's the case. I'm sorry, I just can't answer that.
No, sure. No,
And I know that if there's a change of 5%, I believe it is, that the like density later on, if they want to increase it, which we've had many times in the PUDs, then you can come back and you can, you go through the process again. It always comes back to you all. But I don't know that in this case, if we're denying it, that has anything to do with that. And I'm not.
Yeah,
I just
so
don't.
I know that it's 2 years if it's denied, but I thought that there was a provision in there about a percentage of
Yeah,
change,
and
but I don't know what that number
know.
really
So we'll have to verify
off
that.
the head.
Yeah, so I mean,
But if the motion's already passed,
Yeah.
I think it's that.
Yeah.
So-
If they want to resubmit something, they certainly can. But
well, you all can allow it no matter what. I mean, if you're agreeing to that, if that's what you're basing your information on. I mean, I don't know what that was, but I'm just saying, you all are the final say in it, so if they bring it back, something different, then.
then we go through the process again.
May I have a point of order, just so I understand where we are? So the vote to deny has carried, based perhaps on a representation that we now know may not be correct. And so what I think I just heard is that if in fact your attorney advises you, no, you can't, the applicant may not come back under these circumstances, that we could still just override that guidance and come back anyway and put it before this
It's
board?
their rules when it comes to PUD, and I'm saying I think it should be allowed to come back because that's what they base their decision on.
Right.
So, I mean, if they all agree to that, then you should have the right to come back.
What has been presented has been denied. But if you present something else, then it goes back through the process.
Understood. It seemed like at least one board member was interested in whether or not and when and how we could come back, and now we're hearing that maybe we can't. So just point of order.
I agree, I don't,
Yeah.
I feel like if you make a decision based on misinformation and we find out that that's you know, that legally it can't come back. I mean, I believe that the council can agree, we can note it in the minutes that it's okay if it comes back, as long as it's different, then, you know, I think we can move forward, but if somebody here made their decision based on this information, then I don't think that's fair to anyone.
I think we were comfortable with the 10% change that Mike had
I
said.
didn't feel misinformed, but
Yeah.
the information that was given.
Right.
Okay, as long as everybody agrees, I don't, you know, if they.
Everyone's in agreement
Just-
if they present something
if-
else, it would come back.
If I might, for the record, just preserve the fact that I believe that there's some basis here for undermining the decision that was just made, but that's for another day and just preserving for the record. Thank you.
Don't mind, can I get some direction from the board as to what you might find more palatable in this instance?
A single-family home?
Single-family homes.
You make it look like a bed and breakfast, right?
Simple.
So it looks like a house from the
But
front.
we're not here to decide the appearance of it,
That's
we're in
fine.
from the outside.
Yeah, but
Make
that's
it a
half
single-
of the problem is the appearance.
There's a property for sale over across Birdie's that might fit this support.
That's right.
Same.
That's a great, great suggestion.
Just for clarification, similar to what the county's process is, does town allow the applicant to appeal our decision?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Sure.
Or
Okay.
so it'd be.
So that's your right. If you want to appeal our decision, you can.
Absolutely.
And you work through that process and you see what happens.
For sure. Thank you.
Any further discussion on this project? Okay. We'll move on to the.
Thank you, everybody.
Agenda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All the comments.
No, I have.
Meeting is not adjourned, would please have quiet.
Hey, bring it yourself.
So I'm up? Okay.
You can pull my agenda.
So we, go ahead, proceed.
Yes.
So the planning commission met on April 6th. We had two items on the agenda. The first one was case number 33-25, which is the McIntyre Professional Center. It was approved conceptually for two 12,000 square foot buildings behind the Domino's and the pharmacy there on Maryland Route 5. And so they're proceeding with their final design. The second item was case number 43-25, which was the Singletree quad, which was recommended by Planning Commission to you guys for a decision. The next meeting will be held on May 18th, and we have two items on that agenda, which is Meadows at Town Run, Section 2, Phase 5, and we have the Cedar Lane Senior Living Center being brought to you, or they're gonna, the Planning Commission will make a recommendation to you because it falls under the, per the ordinance 160, it falls under PUD criteria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whatever happened with the memory facility?
I haven't heard anything about that project, and I would like to go back and look at the record because the 1 year extension that they received may be coming up
Yeah,
in the next month or so.
I think there were funding issues.
right. That's so unfortunate.
What's the status of the Tractor Supply, people ask?
They are still in their final design.
Okay, so I say we're just waiting, they're just waiting to resubmit.
So my understanding is that they had to work with PNC to obtain an easement on their property for stormwater management outfall, which I believe they have accomplished, but again, I have not seen the revised plan. They did communicate to me that they wanted to revise their site plan and put a sales area back up front, and I told them no, that could not happen, that it had to remain on the side of the building. So we'll see what happens.
Gotcha, thank you.
And I wanted to, I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I'm gonna apologize for not knowing that exact number for the change in being able to bring something back to you guys.
Well,
I
it may be
apologize.
right, I just don't know, I would have preferred to.
Yeah, we'll look it up and figure it out.
Okay, but anyway, I wanted to apologize for not knowing.
No, that's okay, you did very well.
You did fine.
That's all I have unless you have questions.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to our Deputy Wilhelmi. He's with us here. Everybody should receive a copy of his report. Glad to see you at the LBA meeting the other day too. That was being there, so.
Sir.
Any comments, questions?
I have something for you. I was at an event on Thursday, and the person that lives at the top of the wharf, like a residence right there by the courthouse, mentioned issues with speeding on the Wharf Hill, I guess up and down. Can we monitor that somehow? I think they talked to you guys in the past maybe about something.
Have they given you a time frame?
Like early evening.
Early
She said,
evening?
but she
I can
owns it,
say,
it's like almost
I walk
during
my
the day.
dog a lot down there, and it's like between 4 and 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Something
we've
like
been
that,
down there.
and they
just
kind of
driving
race up and down.
with kids and
Yeah,
cars.
I do have the directions for downloading the information from the speed camera now, so we should be able to.
Okay, awesome.
Put something out there to try to.
It's probably people speeding up the hill because they try
Yeah.
to, they hit the gas and make as much noise as they can.
Yeah,
Just only check that light.
The downhill is not a problem, it's the uphill.
Actually, I've been thinking about this, and also coming down from Riken, people going down, you know.
Oh, I told you they were on
speeding there
60 because you
also.
could see it on the plan, yeah.
Actually, we were coming back from Virginia yesterday, I had Donna take some pictures of entrances or intersections that have not speed bumps, but they're white lines, about 10 lines, right there in Clemens, that they're speed bumps, but they're not really
Rumble strips.
bumps.
Yeah, just prior to the circles.
Right,
Yeah.
prior to the circle. So
Yeah, they're just
my
making you
thought-
feel like you're going fast.
My thought was to do some of those down Wharf Hill, up and down Wharf Hill, and also down, coming down from Riken.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
great
Maybe some
idea.
other places,
Yeah.
you know, like out,
And they're flat, so they're not.
they're flat, but they're.
They make a
little
slight
bumps.
noise.
I think, yeah, I was gonna say that, I think we talked about it at some point, we were a little concerned.
But you're talking about speed bumps, and the fire department is, they don't want speed bumps, because when they're going to.
They need to get out.
Yeah, they need to get out, so.
And plows, and the plows have a
Yes,
hard time.
but
Speed
again,
bumps, yeah.
these, my thought is to look at doing these kind of.
Yeah, I think we did talk about for the Fenwick Street, but we were concerned about the neighbors that live there.
That's my only
Because it does make
Yeah,
loud noise.
but these don't really make the noise, so we'll look more into it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that sounds great.
thank you. And that, just to make you aware. that
Yeah, so-
everything that's on.
I've been hitting Fenwick
Yeah.
pretty good. Like I'll get probably 5-6 stops a day if I'm sitting over at Hamptons. And I can start hitting the Wharf Hill around that time frame. Especially this week, I'm working nights.
Thank
Well,
So-
the other thing, speaking of Wharf Hill, people that live down there, he said that used to be deputies that would sit down there at the wharf during the night, probably working on their paperwork and stuff, so, but they haven't seen anybody recently, so.
We've been increasingly busy too,
Okay,
so.
yeah, so you might promote that there's a place down the
Nice
board
spot.
that.
Yeah.
Where you're-
Quiet spot to do homework.
everybody's considered. All right, Michelle, move on to your report.
Jeanine has the next one.
Okay.
That our zoning map is updated and current in relation to state law. And we do have the resident.
That's what I thought.
I don't think it's
Isn't
moving forward. I
I
haven't
thought
heard that
that too.
officially, but I have heard
Okay.
that it's not moving forward. And once that's approved, then they go to the final engineering, and then it still comes back to you all, but it's always ends with you guys.
Mike, did you have a comment?
Well, I just,
You have 35% instead of 25%, but you have to, you have to have 50% open space versus 30% open space. So that was something that we added. $135 per new home. Again, we're just introducing the ordinance. We'll have a public hearing on it next month. It would not go to the county because they don't have an impact fee anymore. We would do it, put it in a separate side they mostly work, and we, what side they mostly work, and we, then we also added a 3% escalation fee for the last 3 years that we haven't been. At this point, they're not looking to build a new school right now. We have time to get that mechanism in place.
Special gift for them, so I hope you can all attend. And a reminder that Hyatt Commercial is next Thursday, the 21st, 1.
See Molly and all her glory and checking out all the different areas. So thank you. That's all I got.
For the public hearing, it's always a public hearing. It's always great to see the community get involved in the process. Please make sure, it's great to see the community get involved in the process. Please make sure if you see something, weird water on the ground, please give us a call, we'll come check it out.
That's it? That's it. Thank you. And Mary?
There's the break room, so we do have to have, there's the break room, so we do have to have that. In July, we will have the Family Act will come into play in the state of Maryland or something, and now it's going off and we can't find it, it's somewhere in the house. My poor dog is like laying on the couch with her head.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Even make a motion.
I'll make a motion.